Hey everyone, welcome to Growth Rising or back to Growth Rising. I'm Bird, and lately we've been talking about the planets going retrograde. We've went through Mercury, then Venus, Mars, Jupiter, and now we're on Saturn. Excuse me. And so, when a planet is going retrograde, it appears to be going backwards, even though it's not technically moving backwards because the planets don't actually stop and move backwards, but from here on Earth, it looks that way. So we will start to experience the energies of that planet a bit differently. And so we'll talk about if you were born during, a planet retrograde, and how it would affect everybody during the planet retrograde. Today we're going to be focusing on Saturn, which is the planet of discipline and fear and boundaries, and like the father. Well, Capricorn is like the father of the zodiac signs, but it's ruled by Saturn because Saturn is all about boundaries and rules and goals and all of that stuff. So, you'll also feel it stronger, especially if you are born within your natal chart. Natal chart, the little circle thing that you can look up, Google natal chart, and you can go to several different websites to find your specific one. And so for Saturn, okay, I'm sorry, if you were born during a Saturn retrograde, for one, you may tend to be more conservative, more serious, and more frugal. Those are just some of the qualities because, Saturn is all about being serious and being full of boundaries and limitations. And also, if you're born during a Saturn retro, I don't know why I keep on wanting to say Saturn Mercury retrograde, but if you were born during a Saturn retrograde, you could also have feelings of you could start feeling steadfast or have feelings of resilience, strong resilience, rather. And, people who are born during a Saturn retrograde are not very flexible, so they're not really big on a lot of changes to anything that's on the outside of them, like a change to different schools or jobs or home, or too many changes that they didn't necessarily make themselves. They don't want to see too much of that change. And Also during the Saturn retrograde, you're probably also more likely to not exactly know where you fit in into this social structure, especially, for a young child, because most kids are some kids are happy go lucky, want to do anything, doesn't care about change, are not serious. But born during a Saturn retrograde, that's not exactly where you are. Not even just young kids, but also like preteens and teenagers. You could probably even go until like the early 20s. But also during a Saturn retrograde, you could also have feelings of feeling like you're limited, and like you're always disappointed. But until you start to accept self discipline, you will probably continue to feel that way because Saturn is not a mean planet, which I know sometimes it can come off that way. At first, I thought Saturn was a mean planet. Like, dang, Saturn just want to come over here and just, make you do stuff or make you face stuff. But Saturn is really um, about getting stuff done. Saturn is like, you said you wanted to do this, so we're going to help you to do this. It's like that friend, sibling, significant other, however you want to put it, that's going to make sure that you do what you have to do, kind of like a parent will. But also, if you are born during a Saturn retrograde, um, let me make sure I just went over all my points. Yeah, I think I went over everything I wanted to say about when you're born during a Saturn retrograde. But whenever we all are experiencing Saturn retrograde together, just collectively, we may, have to start facing some of our deep fears. Well, we might have to face some of the fears that are holding us back. I'm sorry, y'all. My throat is really bothering me today. Yeah, we might have to face some fears that are holding us back. And also, we'll probably start to reflect on some of the commitments that we've recently made. We said that we're going to do something. We're sitting back thinking, do I really want to do this? Like, why did I say that I wanted to do this in the first place? And is this something that I really want to do? Or did I feel pressure? Just basically reflecting on it and knowing and basically figuring out if it's something that you really do want to do. Oh, and during a Saturn retrograde, you will make needed changes. So there are certain things that you might not want to do or that you might have been avoiding or things that you're trying to just procrastinate on. But during the Saturn retrograde, it's like now it's time to go ahead and do what you said that you were going to do. There's no more putting it off. There's no more waiting. We're going to go ahead and get to it. Because Saturn is going to make you face whatever it is that you have been meaning to face anyway. Because, during the retrograde, we start to look inward. All the stuff that we might see externally, with Saturn, we'll start to feel it internally for ourselves during the Saturn retrograde. We are actually going to have a Saturn retrograde soon, from June 17th to November 4th. So yeah, we got several months of a Saturn retrograde. So, that's a lot of time of reflecting. It's going to be, basically all summer. Because it's going to be starting at the end of spring, and then it's going to carry throughout the summer, and then it's going to go on into the fall. And so, right there at the end of the year, we probably would have made changes that we've been meaning to make for a while. And now, Saturn retrograde will actually push us to go ahead and do whatever it is that we have to do. And also, for the Astro Data Bank, as of 2020, there were 31.25 birth charts that had Saturn in retrograde. So, not too bad. Saturn will be retrograde for a little less than 6 months. It's close enough. But so, Saturn does go, into one sign and then goes back. But also, do keep in mind also what sign and house your Saturn is going retrograde in, because that will also give you more of a feel of what's to expect during this whole almost 6 month period of, well, let's say 5 month period of Saturn being retrograde. Because, if you have it in your first house, you're going to be feeling it more. There might be things that you might want to change about your body or your appearance, because, first house is going to deal with presenting yourself like to the world. If it's in your 10th house, it could deal with like your career, but just take into account which house and sign it's in. And I hope that we all get needed things done during the Saturn retrograde that's coming up soon. But thank you for joining me today, and I hope you have a good one. Bye.